In 2012, the Royal Society, the UK's National Academy of Science, released a list of the top 20 most significant innovations that have shaped the history of food. The list included things that have been around for thousands of years, such as the fishing net, the plough, and eating utensils, through to more modern innovations such as canning and microwave ovens. These innovations have been around for so long and are now so commonplace that it's easy to forget their significance. We're going to have a quick look at the stories of 3 of these innovations to see their impact on how we produce, process, distribute, and consume food. Our first and oldest story is about fermentation, which came 11th place in the list. Fermentation, along with salting and drying, is one of the oldest methods humans have used to process food. The earliest record of fermentation dates back as far as 6000 BC. It's a metabolic process, a chemical reaction in cells involving yeast or bacteria that occurs naturally given the right conditions. But humans have intentionally used it to pickle foods and make them last longer. Nearly every culture has at least one fermented food in its heritage. For instance, sauerkraut in Germany, kimchi in Korea, natto in Japan, and gherkins in the UK. As well as making food last longer, fermentation gave us new types of processed food, such as yogurt and alcohol. It's an important story for us because as a natural process using naturally occurring agents like yeast and bacteria, fermentation tells us that innovation doesn't always have to involve technology. Our second story is about the threshing machine, which came in at 6th place. Threshing is the production process of loosening the edible part of a crop from the inedible chaff surrounding it. For thousands of years, grain was separated by trampling it by animal hooves or flailing it by hand. This was a very laborious and time-consuming process. In the late 18th century, machines started being invented that mechanised the process of threshing. Farmers began adopting these machines as they sped up the process and made it more efficient. However, as a result, farmers no longer needed as many labourers to thresh their crops, and there were job losses. The swing riots of the 1830s in the UK have partly been attributed to the social unrest and unemployment caused by the threshing machine. Early threshing machines were horse-powered and then became steam-powered. Now we have diesel engine combine harvesters. Over time, these machines have increased the efficiency of grain production and made grain more affordable. Our last and most recent story is about the fridge, the innovation named by the Royal Society as the most important in the history of food. So why did they think the humble fridge deserved top place? Well, because according to a spokesperson for the Royal Society, the fridge has played the biggest role in improving the diets of millions of people. It's responsible for bringing a more varied, interesting, nutritious and affordable diet to an ever-increasing number. Before mechanical refrigeration was introduced and became mainstream, people's diets during the winter months did not include many fresh fruits or vegetables. This was especially true if you were poor and couldn't afford to have slabs of ice delivered to your house. Instead, most people used a cool pantry, which could keep food cool for about 2 to 3 days. The first artificial refrigerator was demonstrated in Glasgow in 1748, although it was never used for any practical purpose. It was only in the 19th century that refrigeration became a common method for preserving perishable foods, such as meat, coinciding with innovations in electrical motors that made it quicker to transport food over long distances. In America, refrigerated railroad cars began to be used in the mid-19th century to transport milk, butter, and seafood. Now, 70% of the food we eat passes through what's called the global cold chain of chilled transportation and storage. Refrigeration has also had a big impact on how we consume food at home. In 1948, just 2% of households in Britain owned a fridge, and for several decades it was considered a luxury. Now, 99% of British homes have one. The fridge has increased our access to fresh fruit and vegetables all year round, an important component of a healthy diet. But it's also encouraged families to buy the ever-expanding range of chilled and frozen convenience food developed by manufacturers. These 3 stories about innovation in the history of food show that innovation doesn't always have to be technological. That innovation often has social impacts that can be both positive and negative, and that innovations across the supply chain impact on us as consumers. Next week, we'll move from the past to the future to look at new innovations in food.